Hey everybody, Who's Your Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking the Arrow episode Lost Canary. Um, and honestly, I thought this episode was alright. Um, the sort of the interpersonal dynamics of this episode were pretty good. They did kind of lay the whole girl power thing on a little thick. I mean, it definitely kind of like felt a little bit like watching an episode of Supergirl at times. But, under the circumstances, that's pretty justified. So I didn't really mind it that much. Um, and I do think it kind of brings a nice closure to what's more or less going on with Laurel. The idea of her kind of going back to Earth 2 to try and atone for what she's done. That actually, I mean, from a character story stance, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. But, and there is a really big but with pretty much everything that happens in this episode, is that after Laurel says, like, okay, screw all of this, I'm going to go back to being a villain, she teams up with Shadow Thief, and they kill the money laundering guy and probably at least one security guard, and nobody says anything about this. Yes, it seems like they were all directly killed by Shadow Thief. I mean, we see her stab the money laundering guy in the heart. That doesn't change the fact that that makes Laurel, who is there with her, helping her commit a crime, she's guilty of accessory to murder of at least two people, and not even Diana, the police captain, seems to give a damn about this. She doesn't even mention the dead money laundering guy to Felicity. I mean, granted, nobody cares that Oliver killed like a shit ton of people back in seasons 1 and 2, but still, like, what the hell? I mean, there are certain things that you kind of have to let go, especially on a superhero show, in terms of logic. Like, like on The Flash, as I've repeatedly mentioned, if there were these guys running around rampaging through the middle of a city with superpowers and stuff, the police would just put some snipers on a nearby building and blow their heads off from like 300 yards. But we don't let that happen because if that happens, then there's no story. Um, I mean, it's just kind of the rule of drama. Yes, you can kind of, in just about anything you watch, you can probably nitpick some holes in logic. And there's a limit to how much people should let go. I mean, you just can't go, okay, whatever for every little thing. But this is just sort of like, no, so this is murder. Yeah, this is just, jeez. And it's not as if I didn't point out the fact that Oliver has killed a crap ton of people before, and that the show has just sort of sidestepped that. Like, none of these people's, I mean, granted, they were pretty much criminals, but none of their families have, like, sued Oliver in a civil suit, which, again, realistically, Oliver would be up to his eyeballs in legal trouble, like, no matter what. But if we go down that road, then the show isn't really interesting. It's all you basically you can't let the minutia of reality overwhelm the overall story of what's going on here. But again, there's a limit to that, and this is just I think a little too much for me. Um, Still, definitely some really nice character stuff. Good acting all around. Shadow Thief, man, I don't remember Shadow Thief being female. I always thought Shadow Thief was a guy, but um, this isn't a character I know especially well, so maybe I'm getting things wrong. Cool costume though, so I'm okay with that. The future storyline, definitely stronger and better than what we've seen recently. I kind of like this whole thing of the idea of the Canaries being an organization. I haven't had the chance to sit down and read it, but it reminds me a little bit of some of the stuff I've seen in the previews for that series, I Am Robin, where Robin is an identity sort of shared by multiple people, not just Jason Todd and Dick Grayson and Tim Drake and all those other people, um, but sort of like a symbolic identity that people who subscribe to a certain ideology can take on. And future Diana kind of points out, like, yeah, you know, the Canaries are there to support women who are supporting each other and always having each other's back. And again, it's sort of laying the Supergirl girl power thing on a little thick, but again, not so much that I can't forgive it. I mean, it is what it is. I understand what they're trying to say with this message, which unfortunately is necessary and extremely relevant in these rather depressing times. Um, I do kind of wish that our yeah, I kind of wish you know, wish Mia would kind of get her act together, but okay, we're just gonna. Uh, she's just not there yet. She still has to be angry person whose answer to everything is to just go off and punch things. You know, like, because plans are bad. um, oh yeah, one other thing. So they caught Kodiak from the Longbow Hunters. You know, cuff him to a chair, interrogate him, and then just walk off. I mean, please tell me Diggle like called Argus to pick this guy up, because you know he's an incredibly dangerous murderer who should not just be left laying there cuffed to a chair. He's probably smart enough to get out of that pretty easily. And I guess that's just another endemic example of what's my biggest issue with this episode is it just kind of pushes the how much can I hand wave away with the rule of drama, uh, and how much is just like, okay, now you're just crossing the line and this is getting ridiculous. I mean, that's a line that's different for everybody. And again, on a superhero show like Arrow, I think you need to cut them a little more slack than you might cut, say, like an episode of a cop drama or something. But still, it's just asking a little too much of me this time around. Anyway, guys, I'm going to call it here. As always, please comment, rate, subscribe, and of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Who's Your Jedi. And until next time, take care and have a good one.